On the eve of our wedding, Ethan repeatedly stopped replying to my messages. I assumed he was just too busy with work and didn't think much of it. It wasn't until I went to his place to drop something off that I accidentally overheard a conversation between Ethan and his friends. His tone was utterly dismissive. "I'm tired of Grace. She was the Silverwood University campus sweetheart, but getting her was nothing special. I plan to bail on the wedding banquet." His friend was stunned. "Grace is so beautiful. Are you really going to bail on her? Be careful, you'll be begging on his knees to win her back." Ethan's tone grew even more contemptuous. "I just said I'm tired of her. When I leave her, I'll definitely be walking on air." His friends burst out laughing. In that moment, I suddenly let go, telling myself he was nothing more than a scoundrel with good looks. That night, I broke up with him, blocked all his contact information, and took a red-eye flight to Oceanwood City. Everyone said I was being too resolute and would surely regret it later. But later, at my wedding banquet with Oceanwood City's new magnate, Marcus, it was Ethan who regretted it. He came rushing after me, his red-rimmed eyes pleading as he knelt before me. "Grace, please come back. Don't leave me." On the eve of our wedding, I arrived at Ethan's family estate, carrying the groom's tuxedo I had just picked up for him. The front door was slightly ajar, and I could vaguely hear him talking with his friends inside. As I was about to push the door open, I heard a friend ask him, "Isn't it a bit much to keep giving Grace the silent treatment like this? You two are going to get married, after all." The silent treatment? So, all this time, when he suddenly stopped replying to my messages, it wasn't because he was busy with work, but intentional silent treatment? But why would he do that? I racked my brain, certain I hadn't wronged him in any way. The hand resting on the doorknob suddenly lost its strength. Tch. I no longer rushed to push the door open, I just stood there, waiting for his answer. Soon, his dismissive voice came from within. "I'm tired of Grace. She was the Silverwood University campus sweetheart, but getting her was nothing special. If she doesn't take a hint, I plan to bail on the wedding banquet. We won't be getting married." The friend who asked the question was visibly taken aback. "Grace is so beautiful. Are you really going to bail on her?" Another friend teased him. "Aren't you afraid he'll be begging on his knees to win her back?" Ethan's tone grew even more contemptuous. "I just said I'm tired of her. Why would there be any begging on my knees to win her back? When I leave her, I'll definitely be walking on air." His friends burst out laughing. One of them asked him, "You've been together for 2 years, you must have loved her. Jilting her at the altar would leave her utterly humiliated. Are you sure you wouldn't feel a pang of guilt?" Ethan's movements paused, as if he had only just considered that. But he quickly had an answer. "Why would I feel a pang of guilt? It's not like we're in the honeymoon phase anymore." Among his friends was Julian, who seized the opportunity to tentatively ask him, "If you really don't care that much, then I might just go after her myself." My heart clenched. How would he answer? Did he truly not care about me at all anymore? Or would he actually mind? Standing outside the door, time crawled by like years. It felt like I was awaiting a final judgment, my heart lodged in my throat. Ethan paused before answering. I couldn't see his expression, but I heard him say in an indifferent tone, "If you guys like her, you can go for it. Don't worry about me." Julian's eyes lit up at his words. "Then I'm going for it." Ethan's tone suddenly darkened. "But let me be clear, if you try to pursue her, she probably won't agree. Back in Silverwood University, so many guys chased her, but she only ever said yes to me. She's likely determined to marry no one but me. If you fail to win her over and make a fool of yourselves, don't say I didn't warn you." His friends all nodded in agreement. After all, they had all witnessed how much I loved Ethan over the past 2 years. During the busiest period of my career, I constantly flew back and forth between home and overseas, treating planes like commuter trains. When had a minor surgery, I gave up a big overseas deal to stay by his side all night, caring for him, even personally making soup and coaxing him to drink it. Ethan didn't like the taste of cilantro, and even though I loved it, I rarely ordered food with cilantro for his sake over the years. Moreover, I always brought him gifts whenever I returned from business trips, indulged his every whim, and even chose their marital home, this specific apartment, because it was closer to the company he worked for and further from mine, just so he could sleep an extra half-hour every day. Yet all my kindness, in his eyes, became an excuse for him to trample on my sincerity, making him think I was cheap. Behind the door, in that moment, my heart was shattered. So, the silent treatment was meant to make me understand and end things quickly, but I just thought he was too busy with work. So, in his eyes, he had grown to detest me to such an extent. But not long ago, in front of our mutual friends and both sets of parents, he had solemnly knelt down on one knee to propose to me. When he said he would take care of me forever, his eyes were smiling, with not a hint of reluctance. This had made me feel like the happiest woman in the world after he proposed, and I had so eagerly anticipated a sweet married life ahead. He used a proposal to build a beautiful dream for me, then personally shattered it, all just to completely detach himself from me. It didn't have to be this way. I'm not someone who clings desperately. If he had simply said he wanted to break up, I would have left immediately. Yet, for the sake of permanent release, he resorted to a scorched earth approach. Did we have some deep-seated enmity? In that moment, I felt as if I had suddenly plunged into a cold abyss of despair, a dull ache throbbing in my chest. My tears, too, began streaming down uncontrollably. "Miss, why are you crying? Mr. Ethan is home today, aren't you going in?" Aunt, Ethan's housekeeper, suddenly spoke up from nearby. She didn't know what had happened inside, assuming I had encountered something bad and came to Ethan to cry about it. "No, it's fine. I'm going back now. Please give this to him for me, or just throw it away." Wiping my tears, I waved my hand frantically, then quickly thrust the groom's tuxedo I was carrying into Aunt's hands. "Throw away such an expensive suit." Aunt stared at me in surprise. She recognized the garment bag. It was from a bespoke menswear store, the kind with a particularly long production time. "Yes." As soon as I finished speaking and was about to leave, a slender hand pushed open the slightly ajar door. Tear-streaked, I froze, my gaze locking with Julian, who was standing by the door. Julian, not knowing how much of the conversation I had overheard, awkwardly stepped back. "Grace, Ethan's drinking in the living room. You two chat, we're heading out." Before I could even shake my head, Ethan's friends, one by one, made excuses and slipped away, Julian among them. Now, only the two of us remained in the spacious living room. As we looked at each other, I wasn't in a hurry to leave anymore. He ignored my tear-streaked face, turned his head away, and didn't turn back, clearly feeling guilty. His tone, unlike his earlier confident chatter, was inexplicably tinged with nervousness. "Is there something you needed coming here at this hour? If not, you should go home. Let's not see each other again before the wedding." For a moment, I even thought of playing along, saying I had just arrived and hadn't heard anything. Then I would pretend nothing had happened and go back the way I came, deceiving myself, coaxing myself into believing that if I didn't expose this truth, maybe he wouldn't jilt me on the wedding day after all. But my pride wouldn't allow me to do that. He could be the man I loved, but he couldn't be my everything. I sniffled, choking back tears as I said, "I heard everything. Let's break up. The wedding is off." "You're quite ridiculous." After speaking, I took off the engagement ring from my finger, carelessly tossed it onto the table, then turned and walked away, my back resolute. When I left Ethan's family estate, he didn't say anything, nor did he follow me out. I drove from Ethan's family mansion back to the bustling downtown area. Looking at the crowded streets, I pulled over, my strength drained as if I'd been hollowed out, and leaned exhaustedly against the driver's seat. All our past memories flashed through my mind like a revolving lantern. There was the passion from when he pursued me, the sweetness from when we first got together, and his increasingly impatient expressions of late. After calming down, I decided that this city, where his shadow seemed to linger everywhere, was not somewhere I could stay for now. I wanted a fresh start. My life wasn't just about Ethan. He wasn't good for me, so I would forget him and start anew. I broke up with Ethan. "You once said if I agreed to a strategic alliance with Mr. Marcus from Oceanwood City, you'd give me a 20% stake in the company. Does that still stand?" After blocking Ethan, the first thing I did was call Robert. That was a 20% stake in the company, after all. I was ambitious, but to be with Ethan, I had once rejected Robert's proposal and given up that 20% stake. Now, I regretted it. "It stands. I'll book your ticket. Our new company in Oceanwood City needs a general manager, so you should go tonight." Robert, after only a slight moment of surprise, reacted calmly and quickly. He booked me a flight for 3:30 a.m. that night, less than 5 hours from then. Time was pressing, leaving me no moment to grieve, as there was so much to pack and prepare at the last minute. When I got home, Robert was still out at business dinners and hadn't returned. Eleanor had already gone to get her beauty sleep and had instructed the staff to tell me she knew I'd been dumped and that I absolutely shouldn't disturb her before leaving home. Feeling no love from her, I had placed all my hopes on Ethan. In fact, Ethan wasn't reliable either. From now on, I decided to place my hopes on myself. With a lot of money, even if Mr. Marcus and I didn't get along after our marriage, I should still be able to live comfortably. After leaving home, I rushed straight to the airport, boarded, took off, and then, overcome by exhaustion, fell asleep. When I woke up again, I saw that it was already daylight outside the window. The sunrise painted a sky full of fiery dawn through the clouds, and my mood brightened considerably. Stepping out of the arrival gate, I was surprised to find that Mr. Marcus, Oceanwood City's new magnate, had personally come to pick me up. This was our second meeting. The first had been a brief encounter 3 years ago at a banquet at my family's house. I didn't remember it very clearly, only that he possessed an authoritative presence and seemed quite young. In fact, my memory wasn't far off. The man before me was nearly 6 feet 3 inches tall, with refined features, long legs, exuding an elegant and dignified aura, and indeed still quite young, appearing to be in his early 30s. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. With good looks like his, he surpassed Ethan. As long as his personality wasn't bad, we should be able to have a good life. I'm especially forgiving towards handsome men, even more so when he promised a generous bridal gift of 200 million. Mr. Marcus, hello, I'm Grace. I gave him a shy smile. We were strangers before, but now we were engaged, which made me somewhat awkward. Call me Marcus, Mississippi. When he smiled, his imposing aura lessened considerably, making him seem rather approachable. Compared to my awkwardness, he appeared much more composed, naturally taking my suitcase from my hand. After getting into the car, the chauffeur drove us while Marcus, sitting beside me, began browsing today's financial news on his tablet. It was then that I belatedly realized an unignorable question. Excuse me, where will I be staying? Marcus turned to look at me, a gentle smile on his face. Didn't your father mention it? You're staying at my place. Stay at his place? That's too fast. A faint uneasiness stirred within me. I was about to ask him to take me to a hotel for a while first. Marcus's thin lips parted. Don't worry, we won't be sharing a room before the wedding. I know you need time to adjust. Half an hour later, the car pulled up to Marcus's home, to be precise, the main villa of Marcus's family estate, which was quite ostentatiously large. My room was on the second floor, directly across from Marcus's. His taste was excellent. I really liked the style of the room's decor. It wasn't overly flashy or exaggerated, looking clean and sophisticated. The maid, who was making my bed, smiled and greeted me when she saw me. Miss, this will be your room from now on. After she finished speaking, Marcus suddenly frowned and corrected her. She is my fiancée. You should address her as Madam, not Mississippi. The maid nodded and left somewhat awkwardly. I felt a little embarrassed by this and asked him, isn't it a bit too soon? Marcus smiled, not at all. You'll be my wife eventually anyway, so it's good for them to get used to it beforehand. Is that so? Why did I detect a hint of impatience? I must have misheard. When's friend called? I was having dinner with Marcus. Out of habit from work, I instinctively tapped the answer button. As I was about to hang up, Ethan's friend's voice came through. Grace, Ethan asked me to ask you when you're going to pick up the things you left at his place? He mentioned it, but I had completely forgotten about it. I used to think that apartment was their marital home, and even though it was in Ethan's name and he decided on the permanent fixtures, I had put a lot of thought into the furnishings, imagining we would live there forever. I poured a lot of effort into it, like the pink cloud throw pillow I bought, the carved French vanity table, all sorts of personal effects, and the change of clothes in the walk-in closet. He was tired of me, and I presumed he was tired of those things too. Since I decided to break up, it should be a clean break. After gesturing to Marcus, I got up and walked to the window to answer. Just throw it all away. Or ship it to my house. And I'll have the housekeeper at my place sort out the things he gave me and send them to him. The other side was silent for a moment, then the speaker changed to Ethan himself. His voice held a trace of barely perceptible impatience. When are you coming back? I'll send someone to pick you up at the airport. You should come get them yourself. In his view, this was his concession, he was giving me an out. If I were smart, I should immediately reply that I was coming right back, and then we could let bygones be bygones, just like after so many of our previous disagreements. In past arguments, no matter whose fault it was, I always compromised. This time, after I initiated the breakup, he hadn't paid much attention at first, thinking it was normal for couples to break up and get back together, that despite my resolute words, I would ultimately be unable to let go and would come back to win him over. But he waited and waited. Nearly a month passed, and as the wedding date drew closer, his family started asking if he was truly certain that reconciliation was impossible. Only then did Ethan realize that this time, I seemed to be serious. While he breathed a sigh of relief, an inexplicable irritation bubbled up inside him. He didn't know why he was annoyed. He just subconsciously, suddenly really wanted to hear my voice. He couldn't bring himself to do it, so he had his friend make the call. His original intention was to pressure me, to make me back down, stop being petty, and come back to him. To his surprise, he received such a resolute answer from me. I'm not coming back. Just throw the things away. And I'm blocking this number too. After I said that, I remembered that when I blocked his social media and cell phone last time, I forgot to block his friend's number as well. Wait, don't hang up yet. Are you settling in okay over there? I have an apartment in Oceanwood City you can stay in for now. He racked his brain, thinking, and that was the only awkward thing he could come up with. No thanks, I have no interest in staying at an ex-boyfriend's place. I flat out refused. Rather than having lingering ties, I preferred a clean break. I plan to transfer that apartment to you, as compensation for. Before he could finish, I hung up. Listening for another second would be a waste of my time. I didn't want any more entanglement with him. She hung up on me? Ethan's face visibly darkened. He frowned, seemingly unable to believe I dared to hang up on him. Ethan, she actually hung up on you? Did the sun rise in the west today? I think she's just playing hard to get. She'll definitely come crawling back in less than half a month, begging you to marry her. Ethan's friend laughed teasingly. In their eyes, it was impossible for me to get over Ethan so quickly. Humph. She wishes. Since she won't come back, I'll cancel the wedding arrangements. Ethan said this, but he never actually called the hotel to cancel the wedding. He secretly felt his friend was right. Grace was definitely playing hard to get. As long as he kept giving me the cold-shouldered, I would surely come back to beg him. And during this time, he'd realize he had grown accustomed to my presence after all, and he didn't detest me as much as he had previously thought. So he was willing to wait and see, hoping I would come back and give in. Perhaps then, he would graciously stay and marry me, reluctantly continuing our life together. At the very least, I was from similar backgrounds as him, and my looks were the kind that would enhance his social standing within their circle. He was already beginning to regret his idea of jilting me. See if you like them? That evening, when Marcus returned, he brought back a tray of large, uncut diamonds, asking me to choose one I liked to be the center stone for the engagement ring. I like the pink one, but is there still time? Marcus had set our wedding for a month and a half later, so time was a bit tight. I said this while gazing greedily at the tray of diamonds. Robert, all these years, had only bought me one or two for appearances, yet Marcus had a whole box. It was truly enviable. There's time, Marcus said, then had the pink diamonds sent off for a designer, but placed the remaining large tray back in front of me. There for you. All of them? I was surprised. How much must that cost? It was just a strategic alliance. He was being incredibly generous. I earn money for my wife to spend. I'll buy you even more jewelry in the future. As if to prove his words weren't just talk, over the next period, he often sent me various pieces of jewelry. Sometimes they were from his private collection, other times casually acquired at auctions. Each item looked incredibly valuable. When I photographed them for my best friend, she was terribly envious. Mr. Marcus is so generous. They say where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I think you've found someone better than the last one. Cherish him. Marcus likes me? But if he didn't, he really didn't need to go to such lengths. Many couples and strategic alliances within their circle were together in name only. Exchanging gifts was usually just for appearances. Yet gave his all, giving me the best. His gift didn't seem like mere formalities for a strategic alliance. They were more like his silent declarations of love. My cheeks inexplicably flushed. So, this is what it feels like to be liked. One day, when Marcus and I went to a bridal boutique to look at styles, Marcus stepped aside to take a work call. I had just changed into my second wedding dress, emerged from the fitting room, and was admiring myself in the mirror. A somewhat harsh voice suddenly spoke from behind me. The pleats on the shoulders of this dress are too whimsical. I don't like it, and Ethan wouldn't either. You should try on another one. I turned slightly. The harsh voice belonged to Ethan's mother, Patricia, and standing beside her were several wealthy women who were scrutinizing me. It seemed they were there to choose haute couture gowns and had coincidentally run into me. But what did she mean by that? I couldn't help but frown. What does what you like have to do with me? I scoffed, not bothering to hide my disdain. When and I were together, she was my elder, my aunt, my future mother-in-law. I had to treat her with utmost respect. But now that Ethan and I had broken up, why was she coming to me and pulling rank? Were her preferences really that important? What kind of attitude is that? I am your future mother-in-law. Do you believe I can prevent you from entering Ethan's family estate? Seeing that I clearly didn't respect her, Patricia immediately became enraged. That would be ideal then. What? Didn't Ethan tell you? I broke up with him a month ago, so what kind of wedding dress I wear has nothing to do with you. How is that possible? Just yesterday, I heard him telling someone he wanted to use roses flown in from Holland for the wedding. Patricia panicked. If I had truly broken up with Ethan, why would her son still be ordering roses? Was it all wishful thinking? And she truly had no idea about the breakup. The family had still been making preparations for their wedding. The last T.I. me she noticed she hadn't seen me in a while. She found it odd and asked Ethan, but he just said I'd been busy with a lot of business trips lately. She had thought Ethan and I were doing well and were going through the wedding preparations. Perhaps he has another bride then? His wedding has nothing to do with me. As I said this, Marcus, who had just finished his call, walked towards me. I smoothly linked my arm through his and introduced him to Patricia. This is my fiancé, and this is Aunt. Marcus smiled and greeted her. Hello, Aunt. I'm Marcus, Grace's fiancé. Patricia looked at the distinguished Marcus, then at me, and felt even more flustered. You're getting married? Does no? I shook my head. I don't know, and it's not important, is it? With that, I ignored her astonished gaze and pulled Marcus over to help me evaluate the style of the wedding dress. Marcus seriously gave me his advice, showing no impatience at all. His lips curved upward the entire time. The waist could be taken in a bit more, and adding a train would make it even more beautiful. Grace is getting married? How could that be? When received Patricia's call, he thought it was an absolute joke. How could Grace, who loved him so much, marry someone else in such a short time? How could she not love him, and instead love someone else? It's absolutely true, I saw it with my own eyes. Her wedding date is set for a month from now. You should cancel all those wedding arrangements you made. I'll go inform our relatives and friends that the wedding is off. Impossible, I don't believe it. She must have deliberately found someone to provoke me. Don't cancel the wedding. I'm going to Oceanwood City right now to bring her back myself. Ethan rejected Patricia's suggestion. The wedding arrangements were to proceed as planned. The wedding was not to be cancelled. He intended to go to Oceanwood City personally to win me back. He thought I was marrying someone else out of spite. He believed that if he showed sincerity, he could definitely get me back. But didn't you say you were tired of her a long time ago? If she marries someone else, you should feel relieved. Why do you still want to win her back? A single sentence from Ethan's friend stopped him in his tracks. I don't know, I just know the wedding can't be cancelled, and she can't marry anyone else. The moment he heard I was getting married, his heart, which had been restless because I hadn't returned, felt as if it was suddenly gripped by something powerful, aching so much he could barely breathe. These past few days, he clearly knew that he and I had broken up, definitively. Yet he had continuously hidden it from his family, still preparing for our wedding. After I left, deep down, he had strangely begun to anticipate the wedding taking place as planned. All the annoyance he had felt towards me seemed to vanish overnight with my departure, and our sweet past memories began to flood his mind in vivid fragments. He belatedly realized that the one unwilling to let go wasn't me, but himself. And now he was about to lose me. Before the wedding, both sets of parents met politely. Marcus, as promised, presented $200 million as a generous bridal gift, which didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was his proactive suggestion: there's no need to sign a prenuptial agreement. We're getting married not to get divorced. From now on, what's mine is Grace's. This statement shocked everyone present. Even his parents questioned him with their eyes, asking if he was serious. It was well known that his assets were hundreds of times greater than mine. Without a prenuptial agreement, many of his assets would subsequently be considered marital property. Marcus squeezed my hand under the table, nodding with certainty. I am sure I want to do this. Robert's once politely reserved face was now full of smiling wrinkles. Even if he wasn't overly affectionate with me, I was his only child, so he naturally wished for my well-being. Robert, hearing this, was very satisfied. He said, I'm nearing retirement, and in 2 years, I will hand over the company, entirely, to Grace. Everything belonging to our G family will be her dowry. I, who had originally been thrilled just to get a 20% stake in the company, was now slightly astonished. Was I swimming in money now? Thanks to Marcus's generosity and Robert's magnanimity, the dinner hosts and guests conversed very happily. After a few drinks, Robert had a heart-to-heart with Marcus. I only have this one daughter. I can only truly feel at ease entrusting her to you. I've watched you grow step by step. Marcus also held his hand and promised, "Father-in-law, I will definitely be good to her." Perhaps infected by the atmosphere, even Eleanor, who had always been cold towards me, sighed when I met her in the restroom. "You're luckier than I was. He seems more reliable than your father. Live a good life with him from now on, and completely forget that Ethan boy, understand?" I nodded, my red-rimmed eyes tearing up as I hugged her. Perhaps she wasn't unloving, but just too estranged from me for too long to know how to express her affection. At least she showed concern for me today. As I said goodbye to them, my red-rimmed eyes filled with a touch of emotion. Robert, someone so fond of money, actually planned to relinquish power and give the company to me so early. He loved me quite a bit, I should honor him well in the future. And wasn't as cold as I thought. After leaving the restaurant, Marcus and I decided to walk back. It wasn't far from his spacious downtown penthouse, so we didn't call the chauffeur. Unexpectedly, we ran into Ethan halfway, who was apparently searching everywhere for me. When he saw Marcus and my hands intertwined, his eyes turned red. "Grace, please come back with me, okay?" "No way, I'm getting married." I followed his gaze to Marcus and my intertwined hands, signaling for him to see clearly that I now had a new FIA. "NCE. You're just saying that out of anger. How could you suddenly stop loving me?" "I don't believe it." Ethan suddenly laughed. "How could it be sudden? It was when you gave me the silent treatment, when you complained to others about being tired of me, when I left and you didn't follow, when I realized you were an irresponsible jerk. I gradually deducted points for you in my heart until I was utterly disappointed. Love isn't sudden, and neither is dislike, it accumulates over time. We can't go back. Leave now. Don't make my fiancé beat you." With that, I pulled Marcus away, not sparing Ethan another glance. "I don't believe it." Ethan seemed unable to bear that answer. He chased after us a few steps, trying to grab me. "Stay away from my fiancé, or I won't mind putting you in the hospital for a few days." Marcus, who had been letting me lead him without expressing anything, finally lost his patience at this sight. He pushed Ethan away forcefully and warned him coldly, "Don't get cocky. Grace loved me for 2 whole years. How could she suddenly fall for you? Even if she marries you, I'll still be the one she loves in her heart." Stumbling from the shove, almost falling to the ground, Ethan furiously roared at Marcus. "I can't take it anymore, sorry." Marcus, who had been steadily provoked, finally lost his patience after hearing that last remark. He took off his jacket, handed it to me, then rolled up his sleeves and strode towards Ethan. Just as his fist was about to land on Ethan's face, I grabbed him. "Marcus, no." Ethan smirked. "Grace, you still care about me, don't you?" At this, Marcus's gaze grew tense. He stared at me, afraid I would nod and agree the next second, making all his efforts for naught. But how could I let someone who loved me so much lose? I tightly clutched Marcus's hand. "Calm down. What if our future child wants to get a government job? If you throw that punch, you'll end up with a criminal record, which will affect our child's chances of getting a government job, and they'll resent you for it. As for him, he's an irrelevant person. I don't care what he says, and neither should you." Marcus was instantly amused by my remark about affecting our child's chances of getting a government job. He smiled and let me pull him away. "I'll listen to you. We can't affect our child's chances of getting a government job." Ethan was about to say something else, but I simply pulled Marcus onto the bus parked by the road. "Let's take the bus home. That way, we'll have some peace and quiet." On the bus, some things were better left unsaid. After getting off the bus, we walked along the neighborhood street towards home. When looked at me, his gaze was intense. He could feel the change in my attitude. "So, you've completely let go of him?" I nodded. Marcus pressed further. "How can you prove it?" I thought for a moment. "I'm sleeping in the master bedroom tonight?" Marcus was thrilled. "I'll help you move your things over right away." I shook my head. "Dream on. Unless you tell me first, when did you fall for me? Was it purely physical attraction, or a calculated move?" That night, he told me a story about a secret crush. Apparently, at a banquet years ago, he fell in love at first sight with me when I accidentally bumped into him. But because I was still a student then, he felt I should prioritize my studies. So he decided to wait another year, to pursue me after my college graduation and once he had established a stable career domestically. At the same time, he was afraid someone else would beat him to the punch, so he subtly mentioned to Robert his hope for a strategic alliance with me. That's why Robert had always wanted me to marry him. Because in Robert's eyes, Marcus was more reliable than Ethan. As a result, I was blinded by love at the time and was solely focused on being with Ethan, so Robert had no choice but to agree to my relationship with Ethan. So when he returned from overseas and heard that Ethan and I were already together, he felt an extraordinary sense of regret at the time. It wasn't until that late night when he received a call from Robert, asking if the strategic alliance was still on, that he said he was so happy he couldn't sleep all night. I thought he was probably going to be too excited to sleep all night again, because at that very moment, I was lying beside him, listening to him recount this story. Yes, I had moved into the master bedroom, though nothing had happened. But subtly, our relationship had advanced. That night, we talked a lot and stayed up very late. By the end of our conversation, I only wished he had expressed his feelings earlier. Then he would have been my first love, and Ethan would never have entered the picture. But how can life be without regrets? So I accepted the regrets and cherished the present. After that day, Ethan left Oceanwood City, and I thought he had completely moved on. However, the day before the wedding, I received a call from an unknown number. Grace, I didn't cancel our wedding, I just moved it to tomorrow. It was Ethan. Was he insane? He knew I wasn't coming back, and I was getting married tomorrow. That's what I thought, and that's what I asked. Are you out of your mind? Cancel it immediately. I won't be attending. Ethan gave a self-deprecating laugh. That's fine, he said. Consider it my way of making amends for all the hurt I caused you before. If you don't show up tomorrow, I'll just become the laughingstock of our social circle. Let them mock me for being delusional. But I felt this wasn't the time for him to be acting on impulse. What you're doing is meaningless, I told him. I won't be touched by it, you'll only succeed in embarrassing yourself. Ethan didn't heed my advice, he was incredibly stubborn. Choose what you want, he declared. I'll be waiting for you at the wedding venue, no matter what. I felt like I was talking to a brick wall, so I gave up trying to dissuade him. This was his and it had nothing to do with me. The wedding the next day was grand, and because Marcus was quite famous, it even made it onto trending on social media that day. Hashtag the PNG Families United, a powerful alliance. Hashtag the second trending social media topic, however, left people speechless. Hashtag Ethan, the wedding without a bride. Hashtag the consequence of him not listening was that he stood alone on the stage that day, becoming a laughingstock across the entire internet. Even his parents, finding it utterly humiliating, didn't attend. And Corp's stock price tanked that very day because of it. After learning what happened, many people left a single comment under Ethan's social media post, serves him right. When I was within his easy reach, he didn't appreciate it. Now that I'm married, for him to pull a stunt like this, isn't he just trying to annoy me? After that, I was never bothered by Ethan again. Ethan's family estate found him so embarrassing that they sent him to an overseas branch overnight, with no intention of ever bringing him back to inherit the family fortune. I heard his parents had completely given up on this son. His mother had already started trying for another baby, planning to have another child, reasoning that anyone would be better than him, so erratic and stubborn. As for Marcus and me, we lived our married life peacefully and steadily, growing sweeter with each passing day. Ethan was just a passing acquaintance in my life, I had let go long ago.